Hi, my dear Astro family. Here is your weekly forecast, especially for Libra rising sign this week, between April 28th to May 4th. So, welcome back, Libra rising sign. I think you are in the midst of a significant shift. To understand where we are going, we have to recognize that internal rearrangements you have been undergoing. Last week, as your ruling planet Venus met Uranus in your eighth house, the house of shared resources and transformation, you likely experienced a sudden disruptive shift in your finances or a psychological breakthrough regarding what you truly owe to others. You were pushed to detach from all debts, be it financial or emotional. But then Venus shifted into your ninth house and makes a sextile to Neptune, a trine to Pluto and Juno, and eventually a sextile to Saturn as well. So that's the continuation of last week. And the energy is shifting rapidly from that private depth to that expansive horizon. So you are being asked to take that new sense of freedom and apply it to your belief, your partnerships, your creative joy. So it feels like with Venus bumping into Pluto and Juno, that's a bit of a transformative alignment. Your ruler Venus is transiting your ninth house, the house of higher learning, travel, and philosophy. So that powerful trine to Pluto in your fifth house is all about traveling for joy, traveling to be able to see someone, for example, for romantic endeavors, or it's even about giving birth to a creative project. It's an activation of your creative voice. You are not just learning, you are fundamentally altering your philosophy based on what truly matters to your heart. With Juno also sitting in your fifth house, it's about potentially a long term commitment, not necessarily just to a person, but to a creative project, a piece of art, or a playful path that demands you take fun a little bit more seriously. You are shedding that people pleaser mask and you're stepping into a position where you can own your creative vision. This isn't just about being polite all the time, right? It's about authenticity. And authenticity really comes from that lot of Aries energy that also you have been experiencing. It's about, especially if you have been keeping your creative dreams on the shelf, then it's about bringing them into the light. It's about treating your passion, like passion projects, with the same respect you treat your professional work, for example. So that joy is currently the highest value currency in your life. Now, maybe it's about you getting news about becoming a grandmother, or you might even experience you are ready to transform your childhood experiences into something better. Because maybe with that Venus and Uranus, you had this kind of like eureka moment about you having to, having to deal with certain type of traumatic experiences. Now, Venus is going to be making a square to the nodes as well, which are hitting your 6th and 12th house. That's a bit of a tension point there. This is a classic tension between your daily grind and your need for a spiritual, kind of like a bit of a secluded peace. So you might feel tempted to lose yourself in your daily grind or health-related perfectionism when you actually need to be focusing a little bit more on your higher vision and potentially a little bit of a retreat as well. Potentially, this is a choice. Often with Venus in Gemini, we have got two options to choose from. So maybe you have got two work offers and you don't know which one to go with. And maybe one of them is, for example, requiring you to relocate. Even Hebe enters your ninth house this week, and Hebe is the archetype of useful service. So in your house of education and travel, she changes the game there a little bit. It says, stop trying to force your intellect to prove yourself and start looking at how your ideas can actually serve others and how I'm meant to be kind of like publishing that to others. It does feel like that you have got a lot of daily busyness going on in your life, but instead of overcommitting to chores, you might need to ask yourself, how can I teach, share, or mentor others? And Hebe is bringing that light touch to your ninth house So this is not about taking things too seriously, or when it comes to looking at opinions and worldviews. Somehow it is also telling me that we don't have to get too fixated about it. We just have to remain open-minded. Also, it feels like that Mercury and Chiron conjunction brings your focus to your relationship department. Maybe this is you having to have a healing conversation with your partner, or we're going to have to be able to restore the balance with someone. This conjunction is definitely a healing moment where you need to be able to speak your truth about a relationship wound or a boundary that you have been keeping quiet, maybe because you have wanted to avoid any type of conflict with others. But then Mercury shifts into your eighth house, trying to ground you. And I'm not trying to fix the relationship anymore. I'm going to be solidifying something that we have got already, or I'm going to be solidifying my assets. So you can have really grounded discussions with a significant other about the money, shared resources, what you receive, and what you can give in return. Once Mercury hits that eighth house, your mind becomes incredibly strategic and solid. So this is a brilliant window to sign agreements with a bank, a certain type of setting long-term financial expectations towards others. Kind of like investigating also, because Mercury in the eighth house is very investigative. What happens financially? What happens in my partnership? Whether it's worth, let's say, relocating and so forth. So there's a lot of planning behind that. Moon goes out of bound on the 2nd of May in your third house, the house of communication and local environment. So this is definitely you being a lot more vocal, potentially being a lot more active on social media, or simply just decide that no, I don't want to at all. But you can feel this sudden urge to speak your truth to your community, with your siblings or people around you. Asteroid Shiva enters your seventh house this week as well. And Shiva is really trying to do some destructions of old codependent relationship patterns. Obviously, it's Aries, so that you can build up your authentic self of yourself. This is about your voice to be hyperactive, you receiving certain insights about how you communicate. But with Shiva in your seventh house, the real action is in your partnership. If a dynamic in a relationship doesn't work, for example, it's keeping you too small, then Shiva is trying to break it and build a better one. So this is about you being the architect of your connections. It says be aggressive about cutting out the people-pleasing side of yours that drains you, or simply cut people out of your life who does not respect you. So I think to recap, you are moving from this creative reset at the start of the week through a pivot regarding your daily work or your spiritual peace, and landing on a weekend of truthful relationship transformation. I think the universe is asking you to get serious about your autonomy. You are building a life that supports your creative vision, not one that compromises it for others. It's you rocking the boat, it feels like, in your relationships. And with all that seventh house trigger, we've got 10 or 11 planetary bodies there now. There is often a lot of drama going down. And you have been doing the peacemaking for a while. So now it's time that people start listening to you. And that's also the out of bound moon in your third house. So let's become very creative, and I will see you in my next forecast. Take care. Bye bye.